Why are some of the smartest people you know completely broke? It's not a lack of financial knowledge, but a hidden psychological trigger that digital retailers are using to exploit your brain. They bypass your logic to create a dopamine rush that forces you to click buy before you even realize what you're doing. You know a guy like this? Sharp, college-educated. Maybe a former engineer, a retired executive, or a small business owner who built something real with his hands and his brain. He reads the Wall Street Journal. He can quote interest rates from memory. And yet he's quietly bleeding money every single month on things he doesn't remember buying. Here's what nobody tells you. The smartest people you know are getting played, not because they're careless, not because they lack discipline, but because digital retailers have engineered a trap so invisible, so precisely wired into your brain's reward system that your intelligence actually makes you more vulnerable to it, not less. Stay with me, because once you see this, you can't unsee it. Let me tell you about a man named David. David spent 32 years as a civil engineer. He solved problems for a living, complex ones. He understood load-bearing stress, structural tolerances, budget overruns. He retired at 61 with a solid pension and real assets. Smart guy, careful guy, but David had a habit. At 9 or 10 o'clock at night after dinner, he'd scroll. Amazon mostly, sometimes eBay, a little Walmart online. Within 3 months of retiring, David had spent over $200 on tools he already owned, gadgets still sealed in their boxes, and 3 different sets of wireless earbuds. He told his wife he just clicked. He did, but that wasn't an accident. Here's what was really happening to David and what's probably happening to you too. Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman spent decades studying how humans make decisions. His most important discovery? You have 2 operating systems running inside your brain. He called them System 1 and System 2. System 2 is the you that you think you are, deliberate, analytical, methodical. It's the engineer who calculates before he commits, the businessman who reads the fine print. System 2 is slow, effortful, and rational. But System 1? System 1 runs constantly, silently, at full speed. It reacts before you can think. It decides before you know you've decided. It's emotional, automatic, and shockingly easy to manipulate. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Online retailers design every pixel of their websites to hijack System 1 and shut System 2 down entirely. They have a name for this. Cognitive scientists call it cognitive ease. The smoother, the faster, and the easier an experience feels, the less critical thinking you apply to it. Your brain literally interprets frictionless interfaces as safe and correct. No resistance, no warning signal, no moment of pause, just a warm, easy feeling and then a click. Now let's talk about what that click actually does to your brain, because this is where it gets real. Every time you spot something you want online, a new fishing rod, a better workshop light, a piece of tech, your brain releases dopamine, not when you get the item, when you see it, when you want it. Neuroscientists at UX studying consumer behavior have documented this clearly. The anticipation of a purchase, not the purchase itself, drives the dopamine spike. That dopamine tells your brain, this feels good, do it again. And here's what makes online shopping particularly potent compared to walking into a store. A 2023 study across consumers in the US, the UK, Brazil, and China found that 76% of American shoppers reported feeling more excited about online purchases arriving in the mail than they did buying something in a physical store. The unpredictability, not knowing exactly how it'll look when it arrives, whether it fits just right, amplifies the dopamine response even further. The retailers know this, they engineer for it. Think about how Amazon packages the experience, the tracking page, the arriving Tuesday notification, the knock at the door. Every step is engineered to extend and intensify that dopamine arc. They're not just selling you products, they're selling you a neurochemical drip. But the dopamine is only half the story. The other half is what they've done to your willpower. Back in 1997, Amazon filed a patent for something deceptively simple, one-click purchasing. The idea was that you shouldn't have to retype your credit card number or shipping address to complete a transaction. Just click, done, money moves, package ships. Sounds convenient, it is. But a Cornell University study published in Management Science reveals just how dangerous that convenience actually is. After customers signed up for one-click checkout at a major online retailer, their spending increased by an average of 28.5%. They visited the site 7% more often. They bought a wider variety of products. One simple click drove nearly a third more spending. Why? Because every extra step in a checkout process is a decision point, and every decision point gives your System 2 brain a chance to intervene. Do I actually need this? Can I afford this? Is this the best use of my money right now? Remove those steps and you remove those questions. The deliberate, rational part of your brain never gets the microphone. it gets more targeted than that. A research paper published in the Journal of Marketing and Social Research explains how platform interfaces use infinite scrolling to eliminate natural stopping points. Traditional web pages required you to click to the next page. That click forced a tiny moment of conscious decision. Infinite scrolling removes that micro pause entirely, keeping you in an emotionally engaged browsing state for far longer. Your rational brain never gets a turn. Now add personalized algorithms to that mix, and this is where smart people get blindsided the hardest. Here's the thing about being knowledgeable, experienced, and financially aware. You trust your judgment. You've earned that trust. You've made good decisions for decades. So when a platform shows you something that perfectly aligns with your interests, you don't immediately suspect manipulation. You think, oh, that's actually relevant to me. You lean in. But that relevance isn't accidental. It's engineered. Those recommendation systems learn your browsing patterns, your purchase history, even the time of day you're most likely to click. Research from IE Business School found that some users now encounter between 6,000 and 10,000 advertisements per day, far more than any previous generation. Faced with that relentless volume of choices, your brain develops decision fatigue. And a fatigued brain defaults to the path of least resistance. It stops deliberating and starts reacting. The algorithms know exactly when your defenses are down. Late evening, after a frustrating day, during a moment of boredom between tasks, that's when the most targeted recommendations surface, not because you searched for them, because your behavioral data predicted you'd be receptive. A 2025 study in Advances in Consumer Research confirmed that digital environments strongly amplify System 1 processing, making cognitive biases significantly more pronounced. The study found that confirmation bias, anchoring bias, and availability heuristics all become more powerful in digital shopping environments. Meaning, the more time you spend on these platforms, the more irrational your spending decisions become, regardless of your baseline intelligence or financial sophistication. Here's the cruel irony. The bias blind spot is real. Kahneman and his colleagues identified a cognitive trap they called the bias blind spot, the tendency of intelligent people to believe they are less influenced by cognitive biases than other people. The smarter you are, the more you trust your own judgment. And the more you trust your own judgment, the less you question it in the moment. So when David clicked buy now on that third set of wireless earbuds, he felt fine about it. He was making a quick, confident decision. His System 1 brain registered cognitive ease, no friction, familiar interface, preloaded payment info, and interpreted that ease as rationality. His System 2 never fired, he never paused, he never interrogated the decision, he just clicked. And the researchers at Cornell weren't surprised. The moderate spenders, the people who occasionally bought things but weren't compulsive, showed the largest spending increases after signing up for one-click checkout. These weren't impulse shoppers. These were measured, deliberate buyers, and even they got pulled in. Let's be direct about what this costs you, not just in dollars. In time, the typical American household carries a net worth below $20,000 when you exclude home equity. Strip out the car and the furniture, and most households hold almost zero financial assets. Stocks, bonds, retirement accounts, practically empty. The question you need to sit with is this: where did that money go? A lot of it went to one-click purchases made between 8 and 11 o'clock at night. A lot of it went to Amazon subscriptions people forgot they signed up for. A lot of it went to personalized recommendations that felt relevant but weren't necessary. If you're 50, 55, 60 years old and still building toward financial independence, this isn't a small issue. Every $200 spent impulsively online is $200 not compounding in an investment account. At a conservative 7% annual return, $200 spent recklessly today costs you roughly $400 in 10 years. Do that 4 times a month and you've quietly surrendered $19,000 and lost compounding over a decade. Not from reckless gambling or bad investments, from clicking buy now after dinner. So what do you actually do about this? First, understand the mechanism. You can't defend against something you haven't identified. The retailers want you to feel like your purchases are spontaneous expressions of your own desire. They're not. They're the calculated output of an algorithm designed to convert your dopamine into their revenue. Second, reintroduce friction deliberately. Log out of Amazon when you're done browsing. Delete stored payment information. Remove the one-click option from your account settings. Every extra step you add back to that checkout process is a window for your System 2 brain to show up. Use that window. Third, impose a time buffer on all non-essential purchases. If you want it today, buy it in 48 hours. That rule alone interrupts the dopamine arc. The excitement fades. The rational assessment returns. Researchers at Psychology Today confirm that the emotional urgency driving most impulse buys dissipates significantly within 24 to 48 hours. Wait it out and you'll find that you rarely buy the thing. Fourth, schedule your online shopping. Don't browse when you're tired, bored, or frustrated. Those states are what the algorithms profile for. Shop in the morning on a full stomach with a written list. Give your system to brain the conditions it needs to function. And fifth, track it, not obsessively, but once a month, pull your bank statement and look at every online purchase you made, not to punish yourself, to see the pattern. Awareness breaks the automaticity. Once you see how consistently the algorithm targeted you during your lowest resistance moments, it loses some of its power. David eventually figured it out, not through some dramatic financial crisis, but through a quiet conversation with his daughter, who asked him point-blank why he had 5 unopened toolboxes in the garage. He didn't have a good answer. He started logging out. He added 48 hours to every non-essential purchase. He started shopping from a list. His discretionary spending dropped by over 30% in the first 90 days. He didn't feel deprived. He felt sharp again. He felt like himself. That's the goal. Not to stop enjoying the convenience of online shopping, not to pretend algorithms don't exist, but to stop letting them run your finances, to put your system to brain back in charge, to make sure the money you worked for your whole life actually works for you instead of funding someone else's quarterly earnings report. You're smarter than the algorithm. You just need to stay awake to it. If this opened your eyes, here's what I need you to do right now. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Every week we break down the hidden financial forces draining wealth from smart, hardworking people just like you, and we give you the tools to fight back. There's a whole playbook here, and you've only just seen the first chapter. Don't miss the next one. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's build that financial independence together.